Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today guys, we're going to be jumping down into the world of Bitcoin, taking a look at what's been going on and what we think is likely to happen next. We'll be taking a look at the on-chain data, we'll be taking a look at the events from a fundamental standpoint of what's been going on and what is likely to happen this week, various different news pieces and all that kind of stuff. As you can tell, I'm a little under the weather, so I'm going to try to keep this to the point as most as possible and keep it nice and brief. As I get into the video, if you find it useful and informative, smash that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. If you haven't yet joined us in Discord, check it out, guys, linked in the description down below. Let's make a start with this thing, right? So, and what we'll do is we're just going to jump over to here and take a look at the upcoming events this week. Something that JB puts together every week for us in the Discord server. So today, the 11th of April, we can see that the Australians have their consumer confidence. We've got China's inflation rate and New Yuan loans. Tomorrow, on the 12th of April, we can see the USA has their inflation rate, the CPI. Canada has their interest rate decision, and in the US, there's the FOMC minutes. On Thursday, the 13th, we can see Australia have their unemployment rate, Germany has their inflation rate, the UK GDP, balance of trade, and the USA has PPI. And on the 14th of April, we have oil market report from France and the USA's sales, retail sales. So we can see it's a reasonably busy week. There's nothing in here that's overly too scary from the market, but I do think that we've seen a little bit of pricing in around the FOMC minutes. I think there might be something in there that might spook the market a little bit. Be interesting to also see the inflation rate on the 12th, because I do think that's going to have a bit of an impact on the market as well. So let's go ahead and jump into the on-chain stuff. What's been going on? And well, as we can kind of see, if I take a look at the retail size wallets, they have been on the increase, everything from 0.1 Bitcoin or more up to the 10 Bitcoin area. They've all had a little bit of a push upwards. So definitely FOMO has been driving hard and trying to push the price up towards $30,000, which was obviously hit. We can also see, and we can argue, that maybe the sharks were actually the catalyst behind the surge to the upside, because there was a little bit of a bump to the upside here on these wallet counts yesterday. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see how tomorrow's data kind of comes out as to whether or not they were then selling after initializing the surge to $30,000. You see the whales are not really participating, and the Kraken have taken it as an opportunity to exit. So again, big money isn't really participating, and it is still just being driven from retail at the moment, as far as we can see from the on-chain data. Now, as we kind of talk about quite a bit, we can see that the volumes are still incredibly low. You can see the inflows and outflows are really, really small here. In the last 24 hours, it was 9,400 Bitcoin going onto the exchanges, 9,600 Bitcoin coming off the exchanges. And in 2019, we can see that the volumes were significantly higher, day for day and all that kind of stuff. You're talking 57,000, 59,000 on the lower side of things. And on the higher side, you're talking 148,000 Bitcoin or 130,000 Bitcoin. So we know that the volumes are significantly lower than what they were previously. So from an on-chain point of view, the data doesn't support bullish, it just supports more bearish, unfortunately. And we can see that it's only really small retail wallets that are propping up the market with the help and aid from a little bit of manipulation from the larger sized wallets as well. So let's jump down into the charts and take a look at what's been going on down here. So as we can kind of see, hit that $30,000 area. So this is the daily chart. We're just going to look at some smart money concepts here. And what we can do is we can see that we have the bullish change of character. And okay, this is great. We can kind of see that we have now flipped from a bearish state to a bullish state. But it doesn't mean that you cannot move down. It just basically means that unless you kind of lose this low down here, okay, which would be about 19,500 approximately. Let's see if I can get that actually on the nose there. 19,549. Unless you were to lose that low, you're still going to remain in a bullish structure. But I do expect us to kind of move down. One of the things that kind of gets me quite a bit here is that although we've kind of pushed up quite heavily here, we have left a lot of these fair value gaps behind. And these fair value gaps, in my opinion, are likely to get filled out at some point. Okay, I can't time the market, but at some point I am expecting us to move down, and I'm also expecting us to revisit equilibrium here. Okay, now we do have a strong low according to smart money concepts, and we have a weak high, so I still think there's a little bit of a push to the upside. Now, as we kind of come over into our Elliott Wave theory side of things, we can see $32,917. That's this low here, and also where resistance was previously. We're going to be looking for rejection somewhere around here. We are heavily overbought, by the way, guys, as well, as you can kind of see. Overbought on the weekly, daily, 8 hour, 4 hour. It's only really the hourly that has some momentum left into it. And now if we take an average position, we're not oversold on the daily just yet. And I still think we can have that little bit of a push up higher to be seen. Okay, maybe 30.5, something like that. Maybe we'll push into this $33,000 level before getting rejected. Now, if we do go up higher than 32,917, then I don't think we're actually any more, or should be thinking any more about a Z wave. I think we're actually being a much bigger corrective structure. And that would be more bearish, unfortunately. It would have been nice to have been able to kind of put that one to bed over there. But I think essentially what would happen here is we'll do some kind of really big correction like this in the end. But ultimately, for now, I guess we can enjoy a little bit more green, but we are in a bearish state. Higher highs, higher lows equals move to the downside, in my opinion. As you can kind of see many times before, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher high, high lows, higher high, high lows, and tendencies to have breaks to the downside. Not a guarantee, but tendency to see that's what happens. Now, as we move on over into our macro view, an area that we were looking for as a supplier area, we have broken through it, so no longer supply. So again, still holding up reasonably well as a demand area. I don't think this is something that we're likely to see hold out for too much longer though. We've been testing the upper area here, and my expectations are that we'll eventually be testing the lower areas once again. Again, higher highs, higher lows, we know what happens there. But ultimately, yeah, for now, I do think things are in a bearish state of play. We have been overbought on the weekly for quite some time, and we're looking for a bit of progression to the downside. And our monthly has also shot up quite heavily without actually doing terribly too much in the way of price movement. So again, we should be a little bit concerned about the monthly movements right back up into this area of what I think is going to be resistance between 28,800 and 34,997. So we can see right here, basically $29,000 to $35,000 is a previous area of support, which I think is going to be turning into a resistance, which will allow us to then look at this thing as a three-wave drop, taking us into this bear market in a much deeper way than many people are believing is possible. So ultimately, everything here for Bitcoin is kind of on track as to kind of where my thoughts are, or at least have been over the last few months. Not terribly too much has kind of deviated away from that. We are still looking for that correction to the downside. I do think it's an inevitability. It's just a case of when. And I do think it is the market is being heavily manipulated and being pushed to the upside to grab as much of that liquidity from retail investors as possible. But I'm going to leave this video right there, guys. If you have found it useful, informative, and smash that like button. Do let me know your thoughts are in the comments down below. If you found it useful and informative, you know what to do. And I'll catch you all in the next one.
We are not financial advisors, and none of what we have communicated verbally or in writing here should be considered as financial advice. It is not. Do your own research before investing in any digital asset or affiliate offers, and understand that investing in any crypto is risky. If you do, you need to be prepared to lose your entire investment. This video is for information and entertainment purposes only. All our videos are strictly personal opinions. Please make sure you do your own research and never take our opinions for financial guidance. There are multiple strategies, and not all strategies fit all people. Our videos are not financial advice.